a Dreadlord with Carrion Swarm, but not in this game. Um, yeah, another option for the elf is Hippo Riders. I don't find that works quite as well as Fairy Dragons, but if you like Hippo Riders, just because you like Hippo Riders, yeah, you can use those. They take down Necros pretty fast too. Especially if your opponent decides not to upgrade his skeletons, the Hippo Riders will be able to take everything down. They deal with wagons and necromancers pretty effectively. And they make it impossible for the opponent to rebuild his army. So, just because they're so mobile. Here, taking that expansion, which is good, but it kind of ignores the greater threat, which is the Necrowagon army now advancing on his base. And, let's see, how many Fairy Dragons does he have up at this point? He does have 3 Fairy Dragons. I think he's... Is that 3 or 4? That's 4 Fairy Dragons. Okay, so 4 Fairy Dragons. And now he's going to have to TP. This is a bit of smart play. He didn't have a TP on his Panda, so he staffed in his Beastmaster so that he could make the TP faster. And that... I mean, otherwise, he would lose his tree here pretty easily. Fairy Dragons are set up. I think he set them up before teleporting. And watch how fast those Necromancers go down. To Breath of Fire plus these fairies. And a Panda, if you do see Necrowagon, and you don't already have a Panda, which is sort of begs the question, why not? But if that's the case, get a Panda, because Breath of Fire is very useful to fight Necromancers. Anyway, 2 Fairy Dragons remain alive. They've already killed about half the Necromancers. The skeletons produced by the rest just got detonated by Wisps. So, that is pretty much how to fight Necrowagon. Don't send all the Wisps at once if you're facing a Dreadlord with Carrion Swarm, by the way. Here's a Panda level 6. Somebody requested that I talk about Panda level 6. I remember now, so I will talk about that a little bit in the next battle where you see the ultimate being used. He's got bears. Pretty much once you have the Fairy Dragons and the Wisps ready to counter the skeletons, it doesn't matter so much what your main army is. In general, bears are stronger than Dryads against... Well, to be honest, bears are stronger than Dryads against any ground unit, so... That's not true, but... Against this strategy, bears are stronger than Dryads. But, honestly, if you've got Chimeras, if you've got Mountain Giants, at that point, it doesn't matter. Once you've got the counter for the Necromancers and the Skeletons, the wagons will just fall to anything. Even Dryads. So, Dryads are probably the weakest unit at your disposal in this situation, with the exception of maybe Huntress. Here's an unfortunate situation for Boo, whose Zeppelin gets caught out, but that's another good example of map awareness here. And gets a couple free Meat Wagons. He's gone Bear, which is a weird choice. Against Meat Wagons, I would like to go Hawk, because the Hawk does a huge amount of damage to Meat Wagons, takes them down very fast, and can actually get to the back lines. The Bear, of course, can too at level 3, but I don't even know at which level the Bear gets Blink. But at the level the Bear gets Blink, obviously it can get to the back lines too. But in general, I prefer the Hawk. I think it's a more versatile unit. Yeah, at this point the game is over. Like I said, the key to Necrowagon is scouting. If you scout it, you will probably win, assuming you build a good army. Here's another Necrowagon battle. Notice that the Fairy Dragons are going up between the Undead and his base, which is definitely the situation you want to be in. If you're fighting Necrowagon, the ideal thing is to fight it when you can decide when to retreat. And in this case, the Night Elf has a total lead in this battle. Panda goes Breath of Fire, and it gets slept. That gets abolished by the Dryads, and now he's going to do the split. So, I was going to talk about this a little bit. Basically, what I do, and I don't face this situation much, so I don't pretend this is ideal, but basically I attack move the Fire Panda into the middle of the enemy, and then I do the same with the Earth Panda, but I target the Earth Panda at the largest concentration of troops, while I target the Fire Panda at a single unit. And for example, in this case, he's targeting the Meat Wagon with the Fire Panda. And then he lost his Fire Panda. The Earth Panda, I think it has Dispel. I honestly can't remember right now, but I'm pretty sure it has Dispel, which you should probably be using on the skeletons, but whatever. The Air Panda, I use for Cyclone. Generally, Cyclone... I don't like to Cyclone heroes, because the Cyclone doesn't last for as long. I'd like to Cyclone a main unit that the opponent has For example, a bear or a knight if that's available. In this case, there's not really a main unit available, so probably the best thing to use is just that Dispel or Windwalker, whatever. I really hope there's Dispel now, or it will be really embarrassing to me. Anyway, having completely romped through his opponent's base now, basically killed off all the wagons, I think, and still having a ton of bears left, this game is pretty much over. Those Necros are sitting ducks for the Panda's Breath of Fire when he decides to use it. Yeah, he's actually still got a Potion of Greater Mana, so pretty much this is no contest at this point. I guess, like I've said about 5 times already, scouting is the key. If you scout Necrowagon, you will win. If you don't scout it, you will lose. And the earlier you scout it, the better. It's pretty much as soon as you see the Temple of the Damned, you should be thinking, uh-oh, what if I'm facing Fiendshi? What if I'm facing Necrowagon? And you need to know which. So you need to keep scouting, find out which a bit earlier than Bringer did in this game. Boost says GG, the game goes on a little bit. Find out earlier than Bringer did in this game, because most players will probably attack you a little bit earlier than that. Let's see. Yeah, then build your Ancient of Wind. 4 Fairy Dragons seems like a good number against this size of an army, judging by the way they worked for Bringer. If you're not feeling very confident, just go ahead and get a couple more Fairy Dragons, and that will certainly work. And, yeah. Tree of Life going up at Boo's expansion. I like this because it's Stampede, and Stampede is awesome. So, yeah. Stampede is going on in this game. Excellent. Too bad the game is already over. And too bad Stampede is useless. Yeah, in a real game, I think I would get the higher level Quill Beast instead, because those are just devastating. Anyway, the one place for Dryads, I almost forgot to mention this, one place for Dryads in Necrowagon that really is important is to remove Cripple. So if you're going Bears or Chimeras, you'll probably want a few Dryads to remove the Cripple from them, because big units get pretty useless when crippled. You could also use a Wisp in a pinch, but in general the Wisps are better spent detonating than the Skeletons. Anyway, so this game is over. I've talked about Necrowagon, I've talked about Pandas. Is there something I forgot to talk about? Almost certainly. My notes. Looks like I covered everything in my notes. Oh, one more thing I forgot to mention. This is just a little thing. But as soon as Bringer suspected the Sappers, he started researching Nature's Blessing. It would have been late anyway, but if you do suspect that your opponent's going to use Sappers, Nature's Blessing is a good thing. That means that if he delays, he's not going to be able to kill in particular, your Ancients. It doesn't affect other buildings. But he's not going to be able to kill your Tree of Life as effectively as, with the small number of Sappers that he thought he would need. And that can be important, because, your Tree of Life survives with a few health remaining, and your opponent is frustrated. He's wasted Sappers, and you can repair your Tree of Life for a small cost, and he's also used up, he's wasted gold and wood on the Sappers, but he's also used up the Sappers, so he can't just bring another one in to finish the job. Anyway, yeah. Other things that I have to say? Not really. I'll probably be trying to do a few more catch-up on the requests in the next week or so, if I can get around to it. And let's see. Let me just add that I hope that the video recorder does not crash this time, because I will be very angry. Like I said, this is try number 5, I think. So, if number 5 doesn't work, well, 6 is the charm, I guess. So, anyway, sorry, I just had to vent that. I'm very frustrated with this new place where I have to do the recording. It's not as good. And I'm frustrated with not having fast internet. And I'm frustrated with spilling my water on my keyboard. And, by the way, all over my notes, so you can hear that if you want. I'm going to crinkle them. I bet that was really loud. And I did warn you. Anyway, that's enough for today. This is Anonymous signing off.